Hello, my name is Vesa Juvonen, and in this demonstration we will have a closer look how do we actually get a provider hosted application and put it in hosted in the Windows Azure and utilize that within our Office 365 tenant. So this provider hosted application is for applying custom branding for personal My Site or SkyDrive Pro. So that's the reason why I'm actually showing my site, and that's the reason that's just a scenario which the provider hosted application is solving. And I'll walk through the steps, what we need to do, and we'll double check that everything is applied properly. The application is, as mentioned, it is applying a custom branding to personal My Site for all of the users who are actually accessing the provider hosted app itself, or actually app part provided by the provider hosted app. I'm going to explain that briefly, but there's a separate blog post where the actual code required for the customization change is explained. In this particular case, anyway, when we start, this is the starting point. So we already have a SkyDrive Pro created for myself. And then in the public My Site, because it's two different site collections, we have already applied a custom branding for the public My Site. So now the point is that we actually set up this provider hosted application to be used by our normal employees, or put it into our tenant so that the normal employees accessing the so-called intranet front page will get their private My Site or SkyDrive Pro also branded. Let's start by creating a place in the Windows Azure for our provider hosted application. So this is my Windows Azure site, and this is essentially the management console for Windows Azure. And in here we can see different things. I just clean up my tenant or from the Windows Azure, so I'm in a pretty clean setup. Nothing special, and nothing additional capabilities, no SQL databases, and so on. And actually currently no even websites, which is slightly weird. But it's just that we have a clean startup for our demonstration. So what we're doing here in the console, in the management of Windows Azure, is that we create a new website, and then it's a matter of giving that website a URL. So essentially we give the website a URL, where is it actually hosted, and then also the region where is it actually where it's going to be hosted within the Windows Azure, and then also the subscription. So I don't actually have. I'll use the Vesa Azure. Let's call this Vesku and My Site, or My Site. Why not? It really doesn't matter in our case. And where do we actually want to host it? So currently we have a few different data centers in the world, and the amount of these are slightly increasing in the future as well. But in my case, I think the more natural place, well, I'll be using the Western Europe. North Europe would be just fine. Really doesn't matter because the networks are pretty fast anyway. So a new website, quick create, give it the URL and name of the site, and let's create that website. So what that's going to do now is that it's going to prepare us a placeholder, so to say, within the cloud, or it actually created us already a website which is up and running within the cloud. So if I open up that one, let's actually copy the URL. If I open up that one, it will actually say that, yeah, website is all good, ready to go. Just update me the whatever IIS application you have, and then we can actually start serving the content out of this website. I'm using a simple URL, and I haven't. We won't be now changing any of the DNS entries or anything like that, but you could be doing that as well. So whatever DNS entry you actually want to use, that can be done. Let's switch back on the Windows Azure management side. I'll open up the website. And it's giving me this kind of an overview of that website within the cloud. So this is not this is not a server, this is not a IIS hosted thing. It's just a website placeholder in the cloud, which I can adjust, I can scale, I can do whatever I want to do with it. So if I want, I can do and increase the instances as many as needed. I can dynamically do this as well. I can put additional power in. I can put them scaling across the well any way I want. In this particular case, let's keep still the free mode. And what we actually want to do is that we want to copy that publishing profile. Essentially, publishing profile is the definition how do we publish stuff from our Visual Studio to the Windows Azure. So we need this information. The easiest way to get stuff into Windows Azure is just by downloading this publishing profile by clicking this button here, which is essentially giving us the download publishing profile section or option. And let's save that, for example, to our desktop, so I can easily find that from the desktop. I'll save it to the desktop in another screen. So the publishing profile downloaded, we're essentially ready to go to publish stuff from our Visual Studio. So let's switch back on the Visual Studio side. So this is our Visual Studio provider-hosted application. There's a SharePoint app, typical provider-hosted application from a SharePoint app, and then there's the actual web application, which we want to put in to be hosted in Windows Azure. And two things: the app file, the app project is for explaining the SharePoint, where the provider-hosted application is actually hosted, what kind of permissions does it have to have, and all of that. And then that web project is the one which we will actually put it in the Windows Azure. So let's start working on that. So before we actually do that, we want to have, because this is not a SharePoint store application, we want to actually go on the SharePoint side. And I'll switch to the root, so-called root application, which is essentially the location where my imaginary end users or imaginary, well, they're not imaginary, but the end users would go to actually as their default entry when they open up the browser. So this is completely out of the box theme site now, but it could be modified any way I want as the front page of our corporate network or the front page of our intranet. And what I'm doing here is that I'm actually accessing this app new page. And the reason why I'm doing this is that because we're not actually using a store app, we are doing an in-house development, or we're deploying the app using an alternative means. We want to register that app to be available. So we essentially say that we want to have the client ID and the client secret registered, configured for the Windows Azure. Sorry, for the provider-hosted application. So whenever the provider-hosted application is accessing the SharePoint from the Windows Azure, it will use the same identifier and client secret then to validate itself. And by running this page and getting that information, I'm essentially getting that needed client ID and a client secret, and I'm registering that application to the SharePoint. Let's call this personal site modifier, and then we need the app domain. At this point, what I want to do is that I want to make sure that I actually get the app domain properly. So there is our site URL, and I'm copying that. So because that is the target whatever the user is. Well, there's the functionality what the user is accessing. So let's put the app domain there, vescomysite.azurewebsites.net. Create, that means that now we have created the client ID and the client secret, which essentially will register this now for this particular tenant. So let's copy that information. I'll just put it in the secondary screen, so I'll just copy paste that in whenever that is actually needed when we publish that app. But essentially, as long as the provider hosted application is providing the same client ID and the client secret, it will validate, and because it has been now approved or registered to be valid within a SharePoint. Let's move back on the Visual Studio side. So this was the Visual Studio site. So a few things what we need to do. We need to first of all do the publishing. And in the publishing, what we want to do is we want to first make sure that we actually have that right publishing profile selected, which is the vescomysite. Let's see when it's loading. Can't remember. vescomysite.azurewebsites.net, and let's publish that. Then what is asking is the client ID and the client secret, and these are the information what we need to provide, what we just registered. So I'm going to copy paste those from the notepad from the previous from another screen. So this is the information which I just went to register to that app rec new page within a site collection. So we get that validation to work. And as mentioned, that is not required for the store apps because essentially they are registered already using the store mechanism. So this is required only for in-house publishing. And what we now can do is that we're able to package the app and deploy the web project. Before we actually do that, what we want to remember is that we want to make sure that our web config information in this app is matching what we have registered and what will be in the app file. So I'm opening up the web config and I'm copy pasting that same information, the web config as well. So the client ID and the client secret. So it's actually truly matching the information what we actually registered on the site as well. So now I can go and click publish. We have the Vesco My Site Web Deploy, that's fine. We can easily actually now publish this, deploy your web project. We're able to do a preview that we have the connectivity and everything is fine. So we have the connectivity to the Windows Azure, what are the actions, what's just going to happen, and everything is as essentially planned. We don't have any databases available, and this is all good to go. So I'm clicking publish. And from the output window, we're able to then see that we are registering the application, adding those DLLs to the Windows Azure IaaS application, Windows Azure application. So it's essentially starting that publishing process for my provider hosted application. Adding file, SharePoint.client DLL. Maybe I should have selected the North European tenant because this seems to be slowing down during the day. No, just kidding. And the site was published successfully. So at this point we can actually already click this link and we're able to see that the site is available and it's published. There's some small delay on actually publishing that. But it's essentially, it is loading now the site and it will be refreshed with the new information pretty fast. So let's see if we can actually get to that default ASPX page. And yes, we can. And what we're actually seeing on the page now is an error occurred while processing your request. This application is only planned to be used from SharePoint with or off the trust established. Any other kind of request will fail. And that's an information what I've written by myself on the default ASPX. So that's the reason why we're actually getting that. But that essentially verifies that the app is now up and running in the Windows Azure and we're able to start testing that. The following step, what I want to do is I want to package the app. So I'm going to package the app. I'm going to double check the values. The app GUID seems to be fine. The URL is HTTPS so that we get everything up and running. And this will package the app and put it in my file system. So it has published a version 1.000 of the app file. So I'll keep it there and let's go actually to our store. So we go through the whole process. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to go Iona, SharePoint and Catalog. And in our catalog, so this is the SharePoint catalog site or app catalog site. And within here we have a few different options. So we can go to the SharePoint store, we can upload, do an app requests, and we are able to see all of the individual apps what we have available within our tenant. There's a poll app already available. But what I want to do now is to make sure that my app is available to be used within the site. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to upload that app file to the site or to the catalog, our corporate catalog, selecting the Contoso personal site branding, and OK, uploading that to be available within the catalog. And this will mean that anybody from the site can actually add this app instance to the page. Is it something that you need to do or what you want to do that everybody or do you want to have multiple instances of this one? Well, it's debatable, but it shows the real life publishing of the app. So I'm going to save the settings, and we're able to see then the app stored and available in here. So there's the Contoso personal site branding uploaded a few seconds ago. Good. Let's go back on our intranet front page, home. And now if I go to the site contents and click add an app, this is where I'm now able to start adding individual apps. So I do have the option go to the SharePoint store, but in this case it's an in-house development, so I'm going to actually take that app from our organization selection. And it was a Contoso personal site branding. So let's add that app to be available. The OAuth permission checkup, what is this and what kind of permissions this app requires, that was explained actually on the another video where the individual app functionalities are more explained. So I'm adding that on the site. So I'm trusting it, giving the right permissions, the OAuth permissions. Those are stored. App is being installed. And that takes a while, slightly depends how fast and what kind of app it is. We're able to see the nice icon of the app. And if I go to the app, we are now being redirected to that Vesco My Site Azure web site. So essentially what we're getting now is the information from the Windows Azure. So you can see that from the URL. And this particular app is kind of an app that doesn't do anything within this full immersive UI or the full screen UI. It provides provider app part which is actually taking care of the personal site branding for all of the persons individually who are accessing the site. So let's double check that that's working. So I'm adding that app part on the front page of the intranet. There we go, there's our intranet. Before we go there, I just want to double check. I'm switching the pages. I'm going to go to my personal My Site. Let's go SkyDrive Pro. So actually we are able to see that the personal My Site still is using that out-of-the-box bluish blue coloring. And now if we go to that front page of the intranet, let's add that app part there. Let's slightly change. Well, it doesn't really matter because this app part doesn't, well, it depends slightly on the configuration, but it doesn't necessarily need to actually output anything except if when it's in the debug mode. I'm going to add that to the page. And that means that we are starting executing a app part page outside of the Windows Azure. So essentially what it's now doing, it is uploading the required resources to my personal My Site and applies that custom branding to the site. And this particular app works in a way that I can actually, that was a debugging text, so to say, what we saw there. So I'm able to now go and get rid of that debug information. Okay. Saving that. And I almost forgot to change the Chrome type as well. So actually what I want to also remember to do is that I'm hiding essentially that app part, because this app has been designed in a way that there's no reason for the app to provide a UI. It's only there to make sure that it's accessing that particular user who's accessing this site, accessing that user profile, then accessing that user's personal My Site, and applies that branding to the My Site, whoever is actually accessing this page. And there we go, there's no output, no debugging information because we disabled that as designed in the app, and whoever comes to now on this front page of the intranet, their private My Site will be applied or processed to have that branding elements included. And just to double check that everything goes well, let's refresh my personal My Site, which has been now processed, and we're seeing that custom branding applied, coloring went gray, and we do have a background information on the background as well. In this particular demo, we don't do a master page change, but just as well, you can easily upload a master page on the private my side and apply that to the my side. That will have, however, some long-term impacts and additional costs related on maintenance, but again, up to you. The pattern works completely the same for the master pages as well. And that's it anyway. So what we did in the presentation is that we had a provider hosted application which we wanted to put, which was targeted for the Office 365. We wanted to put that in the Windows Azure. We published that and it's now up and running within this particular tenant. So whoever comes to this particular page will get their private my site branded automatically by using that hidden app part. Hopefully this was interesting and useful for you, and feel free to utilize the code which I'm using here. That's available also from my blog post. Thank you.